I think I would have had to direct every episode and be there for the 3 or 4 years of what's left of your life if you got, you know, and do you want to make that commitment? And if you don't, you shouldn't be making the series, you know. Baz Luhrmann tried too, you know. But in any event, cinema now becomes something else, huh? So that's up to you.
E questo, se posso aggiungere, c'è già tutto nell'inizio del documentario sul cinema italiano di Martin Scorsese. Dopo che vediamo le immagini dell'ultimo episodio di Paesani Rossellini, c'è Martin Scorsese accanto a una vecchia televisione di quegli anni. Non c'è nessun contrasto tra il cinema e la televisione. Quei film, i film dei neorealisti, Martin Scorsese li ha visti alla televisione e vediamo subito la televisione dopo aver visto le immagini di Paesani Rossellini. È un inizio folgorante, secondo me, del documentario, è assolutamente visionario rispetto a quello che sta succedendo oggi.
Grazie. È arrivato adesso il momento di passare alla presentazione del film. Mi perdoni, ma dobbiamo rispettare i tempi. Mi perdoni. Allora, voglio raccontare una cosa. Martin Scorsese ci ha tenuto moltissimo a fare questa presentazione, per l'amicizia, ma soprattutto per la grande ammirazione che lo lega a Paolo e Vittorio Taviani. Come sapete, pochi mesi fa purtroppo Vittorio ci ha lasciato, e quando è successo ho pensato subito di fare un omaggio qui alla Festa del Cinema. Ovviamente tutti i collaboratori, tutti i consulenti sono stati entusiasti di farlo. Cito tutto questo prima di sentire quello che ci vorrà dire. Se puoi andare sul podio lì leggere, va bene, Marti. Voglio dire che in sala, oltre a Paolo e Lina, ci sta Carla, la moglie di Vittorio, voglio salutarla con affetto. Credo che ci siano i figli Giovanna e Francesca, risulta che ci siano. Saluto ovviamente anche loro. Se ho dimenticato qualcuno della famiglia è solo perché non lo so, ma vi saluto tutti con tantissimo amore. C'è anche Giuliano, non lo so, c'è anche lui, sì, ciao. Allora, yes, please.
When you talk about the Italian documentary that I made, there's still more I'd like to do on it, but if you do and you haven't seen the films, there are spoiler alerts, as they say. Maybe it's good to see the film first that we're talking about, then see the sections we did on it. Be careful. Okay. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you so much, and everyone at the Festa del Cinema di Roma for inviting me here tonight for this screening, and also to be here the past few days. As I said earlier, a couple of days ago, it's been 12 years since I've been here. I think it was the first festival. But to introduce the screening of San Michele, aveva, gallo, to be here to introduce that, and my dear old friend Paolo Taviani present, and Lena and Carla. And it goes without saying that the event is brightened or illuminated by the spirit of Paolo's brother Vittorio. You know, all I have to say is that back in the late 70s, Paolo and Vittorio and Lena and Carla, they were so kind to me and accepting of me, sort of a foreigner in Italy at that time, opened their hospitality to me, were very patient, and were true friends. And one of the greatest times of my life was spent with them and our friends together at that time. They were even very kind to my mother and father, who came here, I think, in 78 or 9, maybe 1980. I'm only sorry that I haven't been able to keep in touch over the years, but I became more and more a New Yorker. So, I've said many times before that Italian cinema was, you know, obviously crucial to me, becoming a filmmaker, and very, very crucial. I feel that I'm not sure I would have become a filmmaker if I hadn't seen the films of De Sica and Rossellini and the others in that period, even DeSantis and some of the others of the neorealist period at such a very young age. And I think this is something I share with Paolo and Vittorio. Like them, I believe they saw Paisa at a young age. And that first contact, Paisa, for me, is the one that never left. We were talking about viewing the films the other night. It's something I never viewed. They were part of my life. We sort of existed with them, you see. It was cinema, but it was life at the same time. And of course, many years later, Paolo and Vittorio's film Padrone won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, plus another prize at Cannes. It was 2 that time, I remember. Thanks to the president of the jury, Roberto Rossellini, who sadly 5 days later died of a heart attack. But they were anointed by Rossellini. And many of us across the Atlantic, we hadn't seen Taviani films until we saw Padrone. That was the first one, you know. And then, of course, we try to go back and see some of the earlier pictures. And I'll talk a little about style. I don't know if I can do it authoritatively. All I know is that the style is something that was extraordinary, very, very different from the other Italian films that were being made at the time. There's the objectivity. It appears to be very objective. I think immediately of the Po Valley sequence at the end of Paisa. It's very shocking and moving, and yet it's not dramatized in a way. It's not melodramatic. It's factual. There seems to be a distancing to the acting and the compositions and the story structure. The narrative is somehow keeps you outside, and yet you're inside. How they structure these pictures. Composition. I'm still trying to figure out how to get a better car shot than what you got in Fiorilli. Fiorilli. There's a shot of they're in a car and the camera's up here. It's great. Anyway. Or like I watched them shoot some of Il Prato up in Tuscany, and the use of the long lens, the use of light, when to take advantage of light of the day. I didn't see any difference between the murals and the frescoes of Piero della Francesca and what they were putting on film. And it looked they made it look so easy when they were shooting. Ultimately, there's an accumulation of I think, it appears objective, but there's an accumulation of very, very, very sharp, aggressive, disruptive cuts and images. And this all left me, every time I see one of their films, it leaves me with a very deep emotional impact. The way of getting there is something that is not overtly emotional. It builds. I don't know, it's not easy to know how and why, and I really can't get into that. I like movies, I'm not a film critic. I just know their work is different from anything else that I've ever seen. Let alone, I can take an example, you've seen this film, the use of music in Padrone. The music, in my movies I used to say music is a character. Here the music is narrative. It tells it's like a character speaking in their movies. And you get it in Padrone, it was the first time. But when you see San Michele, you can see what I mean. And there's no attempt at this, making it smooth or make it flow. It's the way music hits you in your mind. You'll hear a piece of a song you can't get out of your mind, or this sort of thing. You'll see, particularly in the cell sequences, what they do with music. It's modern and fresh. And for me, there's so many beautiful films they made, but for me, I love the last image of Callas with the boat, right? They're all rowing the boat, is that? Yeah. There's something of the cinematic poetry of their work that culminates for me in those images. Now, their earlier pictures, what can I say? The Night of the Shooting Stars, Il Prato. The one before Padrone, Alon San Fan, is a beauty. Fiorilli. Cesare deve morire. All these films are something very special and unique. The earlier pictures, of course, led to the remarkable film you're about to see. It was the fifth film, I think fifth feature, that was made in '72, an adaptation of Tolstoy's greatest Tolstoy's story, The Divine and the Human. And like most of the Taviani's greatest work, it's a period piece set in the 19th century in Italy. And I can't talk about the Taviani without using the word political. There's a political point of view, like Tolstoy. But like Tolstoy, the politics is expressed through the art and the people, not didactic. Like all of their greatest work, it's a film that takes a political conflict and translates it into purely human terms. Some of you may know the film. Here's this guy who goes to jail for what he believes in, and 10 years later, everything's changed. Everything has changed, or has it? You know, what is the value of what he's done and what he believes and his convictions? And it's something that even is more powerful for today. For this restoration, we need to thank Felice Laudadio. Excuse me. Laudadio. That's what I said. The centro sperimentale, Roberto Cicuto, Cinicità, e Laura Della Colli, Fondazione Cinema per Roma, and the technicians at Laboratorio Restauro di Cinicità for their extraordinary work. And thank you, Paolo, Vittorio, Lina, and Carlo. Grazie mille. And now, San Michele.
Che ringrazio per un piccolissimo e breve omaggio di 2 minuti a Paolo e Vittorio Taviani. Direi di farlo iniziare subito.